Hello everybody, Incon here with another week of SPL predictions. Last week we did pretty good in our predictions. Our biggest mistake was the Epsilon Fnatic game. Hopefully that mistake won't happen again. Epsilon played absolutely fantastically last week, guys, and beat Fnatic 2-0. I was the exact opposite on that one. Other than that, though, our predictions were pretty solid, other than a couple crazy circumstances that prevented one of our answers or two, such as like the Eager TSM game. Should have been a 1-to-1 split. It didn't end up going that way, but it should have been. But what are you going to do? You can't predict them all. So, heading into week 3 now of the fall SPL split here for North America and Europe. Looking at our first games of the week, which take place on Thursday. SPL is 4 days a week. We have Paradigm versus Justice. This is a very simple one. This is 2-0 Paradigm. Justice probably going to be the weakest team in the league here for Europe. Paradigm going to be one of the top 4, although with their start to their season, I don't know if they're definitely not going to be top 2. Top 2 looks to be Epsilon and Titan right now, and Paradigm looks to be number 3. This is how this seems to be shaping up. But we're giving Paradigm that over Justice easy, as well as TSM over Elevate. Same situation here. TSM is going to be a top 3 team guaranteed pretty much here for North America. Elevate seems to be going towards the bottom 2 here for North America at the start of the season. It is just the very beginning of the season. This is only week 3 out of 10 weeks, but this is just how the trends already seem to be going. Paradigm and TSM both 2-0 games here on your Thursday. Friday, not quite as straightforward, but pretty straightforward in terms of the European game. Epsilon over Dig. Epsilon, I would say, is arguably the #1 team right now in Europe. I did not give them the respect they deserved last week. I gave it to Fnatic in their game. They destroyed Fnatic. They have earned all the respect. Adapting is by far the top 2 players in Europe. I think him and Reels are the top 2 players in Europe. They're demanding respect right now as a team in Europe, and they are showing, beating top teams already. Undefeated by just destroying top teams. They're not going against easy teams. They're going against top European teams from the history of ever, and they're bopping them. And that's how you get excited for a new team, man. Epsilon, this is their season, and it's the right season for it to be their season. Denial versus Enemy. Enemy having a strong start. Denial here, not quite as strong as a start. I think these records may skew how this is going to go. In no world do I see Enemy taking this 2-0. This is a hard game to call. I think this is either 2-0 Denial or split. It kind of is leaning. Depending on how you're feeling about this one, you could go either way. For now, I'm putting this as a split. As things continue to change, I may change this one around to 2-0 Denial. But I think this is going to be kind of one of those close ones where it could be kind of here. It's going to be close depending on what players show up. Getting into Saturday, our first big day of the SPL, 4 games a day. Titan and Justice, no question. Titan 2-0. Nothing here really except for Titan's probably going to be top 2 team. Justice probably going to be bottom 2. You're not going to see Titan drop a game to Justice. It just ain't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like Titan will come in prepared. They're not going to mess around. It's a world season. Nobody's messing around here. Nobody's dropping games right now. Paradigm and Myrmidons. This game is a bit more interesting. Myrmidons not necessarily playing as strong as I think that they could right now. They started off very strong, and they've been playing very okay. I think some of this is coming down towards Moga right now. Mogo got his Hades at the start of the season, and now nobody's giving him Hades because that's dumb. You ban out his Hades, he doesn't get it. He's leaning towards Chang'e then. Chang'e's not necessarily working into all of their team compositions. Why did somebody just subscribe to me on Twitch? I'm not even streaming on Twitch right now. That doesn't make any sense. I'm making a video. How does this even know that that happened? That makes no sense. Continuing onward, I am so confused. There's no way. Not possible. Anyway, continuing onward, Paradigm, though, is on the up and up. I think they're fine. They're not messing around anymore. They got through their beginning of the season nonsense. It's Paradigm all the way on this, 2-0. Elevate versus AFK Gaming. This is going to be another one of those where Elevate, looking to be one of those bottom teams, they're going to be coming off a hard game versus TSM earlier in the week. which I don't expect them to win either. I'm giving this 2-0 to AFK Gaming. Seems to be one of those lopsided matchups. You have one of a top 3 teams versus possibly a bottom 3 team. Outside of any crazy circumstances, this one's going to AFK. Finally, wrapping up our week, we got TSM versus Cognitive Gaming. This is also going to be 2-0 TSM over COG. COG roster having a strong start against Eager at the beginning of this split, but since then having a rough time finding their footing, having to go against some of the more difficult teams, although dropping 2-0 to Enemy at the very start was painful for them. They needed to win that series of games. That's a team that they need to be beating. They're a midway pack team. They need to be beating the other midway pack teams to try to work their way into the top 4. This brings us to Sunday, where our first game will be Fnatic versus Dig. 2-0 Fnatic over Dig. Even though Fnatic lost 2-0, or 0-2, I guess, to Epsilon last week, I think Dignitas is having a very hard time. They don't seem to be getting anything rolling right now. Fnatic still has all the quality players, the quality team. They've been together for a long time. They shouldn't have a problem here against Dignitas. If Fnatic drops the game to Dignitas, I don't even know if Fnatic's going to be in the top 4 this season. If they don't win both of these games, that would be a good determination. But I still think they have it in them. They should be top 4. They really should. If they're not, then that's not. I don't know, man. I don't even know. Epsilon Esports versus London Conspiracy. I've learned my lesson about voting against Epsilon Esports. When you see the name Epsilon, you go 2-0. Epsilon here taking it over London Conspiracy. London Conspiracy playing fairly strong right now, doing a good job as a midway pack team, trying to vie for that 4th place slot, it looks like. But Epsilon Esports is going to be the team that they're going to hit a wall against. The only thing I can recommend, if you're going against Epsilon, shut down adapting. I don't know how you do it, but find a way to do it. Do it, and then maybe you have a chance. Enemy versus Cloud9 G2A. This should be 2-0 Cloud9. Cloud9, a very strong team. Enemy having a good season right now. Better than any of their seasons they've had basically since they got into Smite. But Cloud9 still fielding one of the strongest rosters in North America. Finishing up the week, Denal Esports and Eager. Depending on how morale is right now, I could see this possibly going split. But there's no excuse here. Eager should win this 2-0. If Eager doesn't win this 2-0, then I would say it's more of a morale issue than anything. They've just been having a lot of stuff going on in the house. For those who don't know, they saw the tweet longer. Anatoly has officially left the house. You know, he was a good friend of Eager for a long time. Just a little, not necessarily drama, but just some stuff happening, some real life stuff, you know, they're going through. But as far as team skill goes, as far as individual player abilities goes, this should go to Eager 2-0, and that wraps up our predictions for the week, guys. Last week we did really pretty well in our picks. Hopefully this week nothing crazy happens to make sure our picks are off point. But thanks guys for watching the video. Hope you appreciate it. I appreciate you guys coming out. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe to my channel. I release all kinds of highlights, ranked videos, and I'm doing these weekly SPL predictions and reviews every week. And as always, have a twitching day, y'all.